Hi, it's Kamon Reynolds, and man, there's been a lot going on in the last couple of weeks. We already did a video on this hive, but I think the follow-up is more important. The video that we did, I'm going to leave a link pinned down in the top comment, but let's see what these bees have been up to in the last few weeks. And we have done a lot of work. I'm going to explain what we did because we prevented swarming, and because of that, I think we have a pretty good reward. Now, I'm in a suit. It's been tornado watches. We've been getting rain like thunderstorms for the last 5 to 6 days. More on the way. This isn't really good for honey this week, but we had some really good weather before. So let's see what's going on. I've got an upper entrance up here because this is an old box, and that's really nice for a big, strong honey production colony. We have entrances at the bottom, and let's get in here, see what these bees are up to. And the bees are a lot more ill, at least in the other colonies. We got like 3 inches of rain this morning and just all kinds of crazy weather, but it's really calm right now and the bees are out. Look at this top box right here. So we have beautiful white wax. Let's see what they're doing. Oh yeah. So they're capping this up here. This super is mostly done. Even these edge combs look really good. So that's a super basically finished, just maybe a little bit more work. And we are going to pull this off. What we're going to do is knock those bees over there to make them even more irritated at us. So they'll go over there and say hello to Laurel. Oh yeah. And now we got this second box right here. And wow, this looks really good too. The privet bloomed really good. We just need this rain to kind of leave us alone so the bees can work it. That is just about completely full right there. So this is the reward of stopping swarming. Some people say, well, it's not, let the bees do whatever they want to do. You can do that, but we prefer to split the bees later. We already split them once this year, and we sold a nuke out of this colony. We pulled 3 frames of brood before the honey season. Once that emerges, that's more than a 5-frame nuke. So that's a good bit of value there. That's nearly as heavy as the top box. Still got a little bit of ways to go. This is a box of foundation, and I actually have been in here several times. So let's talk about this really quick. There are people who say stuff and don't always know what they're talking about, and I don't always know what I'm talking about. Trust me, I've been married for 13 years. Laurel's giving me the look. See, I don't know what I'm talking about. That being said, there are people who say if you get into your hives too often, they'll abscond and it's bad for them. Maybe, but I've been into this hive, this is my 5th time since the video that I'm pinning in the comments where we saw queen cells. The queen cells were not capped yet. And so we cut all of those out, went through every frame, and we came back 5 days later, did it again. There was not as many cells, but they had to be cut down again. And we gave them 2 frames of comb and took out 2 frames of food down in this bottom single brood chamber. And this allowed the queen to have more time to get her laying more. Pheromones play a lot into swarming. If we can get her to create a lot more open larvae that emit pheromones, then that really discourages that and gives the bees more time to create space, draw some foundations, get used to going through the excluder and putting that nectar up above. And once bees get that stimuli of swarming out of the way and they focus on the long-term storage stimuli, is what I like to call it, and preps for colony growth and storage for long-term life in this colony, then we're making honey. So now they have committed to that and done a great job focusing on putting honey in those supers and drawing out new combs on these foundations. Look at that, beautiful. Now, I pulled this out of the top box down there. What I had done is I actually baited this foundation box and I put a comb in here, and then I put the foundation into one of these honey supers. And on the last visit, I swapped those back around, because when you put a comb in a box of foundations, if you have that, that really lures them to draw that out. And they did a great job. And once they committed to doing that, I just swapped the foundation and the combs back to where they were before. So let's make sure these are all back together. Ideally, we come back in a little while once they've gotten all of these mostly drawn. We're going to space these to 9 so that they'll make them fatter. That's got a little bit of weight to it right there. All right, now we're to another honey super here. The fun just keeps happening. This one was put on more recently, and it is better, in my opinion, to under super. That's to put the new super with combs or a foundation closer to the brood nest. However, if it's a box of combs, you can top super it, and the bees will still use it just fine, especially if they have an upper entrance. But it really works either way. If it's combs, it's a little bit more ideal to be closer to the bottom, but they'll use it either way. Bees are pretty good about getting nectar to the combs once they've committed to it. So this is a much fresher super right here. There's not a lot in that, not much. They have a lot of work to do. They're putting a little bit of pollen up in here, a little bit of, they packed it in there as bee bread, and that's pretty typical. We'll get a little bit of that. One of the advantages of having 2 deep boxes is you don't get very much pollen in your honey supers. Okay, that has got a little bit of weight to it as well. Hoping to get this and this box completely full. That'd be 4 medium boxes right there. And then I have this box of shallows that was started out as foundations, and another colony started drawing on this and didn't finish it out, so I'm going to have this colony do it. And they're starting to fill that up a little bit, and that'll be some chunk honey in some jars. But we just put that on a little bit ago, so I'm anxious to see how much we can draw with that. Now let's see if they're trying to swarm again. But we've been in here multiple times. First time we did a video. I suggest, if you're interested in seeing how to control swarming before they cap the queen cells, watch that video. We came back 5 days later, cut the cells again, went through every frame, and we gave them 2 frames of drawn comb. One here, took 2 frames of food. We were already into the honey flow, so we knew they weren't going to run out of food, and we gave those to some small splits that could have used a little bit more food because they didn't have a strong enough colony to take advantage of the flow. And that enabled them to be able to move any pollen or brood or nectar over to these edge combs, clearing more room for that queen to lay. And we have just kept busy doing some quick inspections. This one's a lot more intense because we're doing a video. Some of the inspection or the trips to this colony have just been to add supers. So we are pulling this edge comb, and this is mostly food. Bee bread, nectar, a little bit of drone brood in there. Just food. Last time I was in here, I noticed that the queen hadn't been laying that great. She was laying really good this spring, but you can see how the pattern isn't the best. There's a lot of bee bread in there. A really strong queen, I'd expect to see it better, but she was laying very strong patterns earlier in the season. And, you know, she's laying eggs over on this side. Usually I like to pull out, there's the queen over there, by the way, on this frame. So since she's on here, we don't want to set that to the side. I almost missed that in my haste. So we are going to stick her there on the wall. So now we don't have to worry about her. I like to pull 2 frames out while I work so I have some space to maneuver. She's laid this up pretty good. Now you'll observe on the bottom we have a queen cup. We're just going to open that up, and it's just a dry queen cup. Very normal for a colony this size. Lots of bee bread, lots of brood. Let's see what we have in the core. I want to see a good pattern here. Yeah, that'll do it. Last time I was in here, it didn't look quite that good. I just really think they were trying to get some of the nectar and stuff out of the brood chamber. In my veil, I have a Granddaddy Longlegs with me, so, you know, I guess when you're around as many bees as I am, you just kind of get used to this kind of stuff. But I'm not seeing any signs of swarming. I do think the queen is laying a little bit below her capacity, though. This is her second season. She was made about a year ago, and she's done a really good job, but she's still doing great. I mean, look at all the honey that she's created, or her hive has brought in, I should say. But the patterns just aren't quite as good as what we saw even in March and early April. And I believe that they'll probably supersede this queen after the flow is over. One of the things that's kind of keying me in on that is all this bee bread that's down in here. I'm seeing a lot more in the middle of the brood nest. That doesn't always mean that the queen is bad. There can be other reasons for that. But when you have a colony this size, she's been laying good, they haven't been making as much brood, and they're storing more pollen. That'll be good though, to a degree, because this colony already got to a really good size. They're going to make a lot of honey. They've already made a good bit. I think as long as the weather doesn't just keep raining like this, we'll get 4 mediums out of this colony minimum. That's really great. Got a nuke, 4 mediums, and they'll probably supersede their queen, and we'll get a new one, and then they'll have all that bee bread down in there to raise good, healthy bees. Quit messing with my shot, bee. Get out of here. Yeah. Tell you, there's always a diva in a colony of 50,000 or so. So that being said, we worked hard to prevent our colonies from wanting to swarm. We missed on a couple, and that's just part of it. It's a good flow year so far. But it's okay to get in there and to cut the cells and to come back 5 days later, do it again. We've got them committed to single brood management. I've got another colony that's bigger than this one. It's double deeps, but a lot of the honey is in that second deep box. Probably 20 or more pounds of honey is stored in that second deep. And we've used treatments and stuff in those deep boxes in the past, so we don't pull honey from that. But that's okay. You leave that for the bees, and it's probably going to make very close to the same amount of honey. So just wanted to show you what this is like going through these colonies. This time of the year, it's always magical to see this much honey and see the bees bringing the nectar. It just does not seem real even after all these years. They're just going out there getting blackberry blossoms, privet, all that kind of stuff. Thanks for watching this video. If you have any questions about swarming or honey production, we're talking a lot about that right now in our live chats, the first and third Saturday of each month, 7 p.m. Central Time on my channel. 1.5 hours long, and we usually have a guest for about 20 minutes. They're maybe to 30 minutes in the middle of the talk. Thanks for filming this, Laurel. I know you're having fun. We'll see you guys in the next video.